Last time in this series, we found that the closer, Kevin Harvick, would win the 2006 playoffs. Now, in the fourth episode of this 13-part series, we'll take a look at how the 2007 season would have played out with the playoff system in place. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to stress again, it's just a hypothetical scenario. I know they'd race differently. It would have been different. This is just for fun. So, with that being said, let's find out who makes up the 2007 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series playoff grid. The defending champion, Kevin Harvick, was first to lock in his spot with a thrilling Daytona 500 triumph. Matt Kenseth locked up a spot as well with his win in California. Jimmie Johnson's wins at Las Vegas, Atlanta, Martinsville, Richmond, California, and Richmond again would lock his way into the grid. Kyle Busch made it with his historic win at Bristol in the first COT race, and Jeff Burton's climactic victory in Texas punched his ticket as well. Jeff Gordon's wins at Phoenix, Talladega, Darlington, and Pocono qualified him for the playoffs. Casey Mears perfected the playoff lineup for Hendrick Motorsports with his fuel mileage win in the Coke 600. First-time winner Martin Truex Jr. got in off of his Dover victory. Carl Edwards got in with his winless streak-snapping win at Michigan, as well as winning at Bristol. Juan Pablo Montoya's first win at Infineon got him in. Denny Hamlin also qualified with his lone victory at New Hampshire, and Jamie McMurray's razor-thin victory at July's Daytona race got him in for the first time in 3 years. Tony Stewart's 3 wins, taking place at Chicagoland, Indianapolis, and Watkins Glen, punched his ticket, and Kurt Busch would be the final driver to get in with wins at Pocono and Michigan. With 14 winners, it left 2 open spots to be made in off of points. These 2 winless drivers would be Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Clint Bowyer. The grid with bonus points, stage points, and regular season bonus points would look like this. Pause and show that. The first round of the playoffs would take place at New Hampshire, Dover, and Kansas. In the opening race at Loudon, one of the winless drivers would break his streak and lock in his spot to the next round with his victory. That being Clint Bowyer. With the points, Gordon and Johnson basically locked up their spots after one race. No playoff drivers off themselves yet as they all finished 25th or higher. At Dover, Carl Edwards fought off the field to win and lock up his spot in the next round. Also, Kyle Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Tony Stewart all pulled over 20 points above the cutoff line, giving them a safe cushion going into Kansas. So, the grid behind them would look like this. The race at Kansas would be one of the craziest cutoff races in a long time. Rain would be an issue throughout the day. Immediately, drama began as Dale Earnhardt Jr. accidentally wrecked Kyle Busch, but due to others' troubles and his own good performance in the 2 races before, Busch was fine in making it to the round of 12. Jeff Burton's troubles ended up doing him in, though, before the rain once again stopped the race, and from there, the race would be shortened and all hell would break loose.
Into the lead lap. Oh, contact! Schrader is sideways. Gilliland is in it. The 1 car of Truex, the 17 car of Kenseth. Oh, contact down the back straightaway. The 11 car is involved. McMurray is involved.
15 wrecked us. Yes, he did. He pulled a brake.
Denny Hamlin slides all the way the length of the back straightaway, gets it, tries to get it refired on the bottom of the racetrack.
Truex and Hamlin would both be eliminated, as would Juan Pablo Montoya. And with that, the points would once again reset like this. The next round would be even more challenging as Talladega, Lowe's, and Martinsville made it up. Talladega was a minefield. First, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s engine grenaded. Then, the big one.
Oh, trouble on the racetrack, trouble way up high, and we now have the big one here with 44 laps to go, the 5 car involved. McMurray is there, Ruben is involved. On court, race over here.
Chase contender Kyle Busch, he's in. Major damage on the number 5 Chevrolet in his car. Jamie McMurray with the front end knocked out. He's going good. He's with that still up in the car. He's okay.
Out of all of it, Jeff Gordon won and locked his way into the round of 8. Also, Jimmie Johnson, Tony Stewart, and Kurt Busch all put over 25 points over the cutoff line. So, After Talladega, the standings looked no more clear. Lowe's really only reached out and bit one driver, Matt Kenseth, as he crashed twice. And due to mediocre or bad finishes, Dale Jr., Kevin Harvick, and Jamie McMurray only widened their gap below the cutoff line. Heading into Martinsville, the fight at the cutoff looked like this. Harvick and McMurray were non-factors all day at Martinsville. Meanwhile, Earnhardt and Kenseth both garnered stage points. The number 8 running in the top 5 while Kenseth was close behind. Casey Mears ran in the mid-20s and was virtually eliminated, meaning the final spot would come down to the stars of the 2000 rookie class. With a green-white checker finish coming, Kenseth was running 4th, Earnhardt 7th. Jr. was in the transfer spot, but it all changed in the blink of an eye on a restart as he had engine issues. Earnhardt fell from 7th to 23rd, a loss of 16 points, handing Kenseth the transfer spot by 4. So, with 3 races till Homestead, the grid reset again to look like this. The round of 8 would go to Atlanta, Texas, and Phoenix. Throughout the first race at Atlanta, Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth ran up front, but unfortunately the same could not be said for Tony Stewart.
Lifted the hood, he just fired it. They're listening right now to try to figure out where the problem's coming from, and they just shut it off again, guys.
Yeah, it's got pressure. When you fire it up, it's got pressure.
And later, nearing the finish, Kyle Busch would also take a championship hit.
Whoops, they stack them up. Coming to the green flag, and the 31 car has contact in the back of McMurray. The 11 car's out of gas. He gets hit from behind by the 1 of Truex. He gets nailed. Here comes the 5 car spinning around.
Jimmy Johnson, though, would prevail, locking his place into the Final Four at Miami. As for the rest of the championship hopefuls, they lined up like this heading into Texas. Heading into Texas, once again, the grid looked to be nearly flipped on its head. The Busch brothers both showed up to play that day, while Carl Edwards ended up 3 laps down in 26th. But the true game changer was taking place out front as Matt Kenseth was holding off Jimmy Johnson within the final 10 laps of the race. With Kenseth losing the lead, he would end up leaving Texas 12 points behind Busch for the final transfer spot. Jeff Gordon basically locked up his spot, while Edwards, Stewart, and Boyer were in must-win scenarios. Heading into Phoenix, all eyes would be on Matt Kenseth and Kyle Busch, as those behind them were not fast enough to get to their needed wins. Kenseth ran in the top 5 all race, and even won the second stage, while Busch only got as high as 5th all day, but didn't score a single stage point. Because of this, it eliminated the 12-point gap from before the race, because that was just how many stage points Kenseth had won. And he would run away with the final spot. He finished 3rd at the end, while Kyle Busch would finish 8th. So, the 2007 Final Four would consist of 10-time winner Jimmy Johnson, 6-time winner Jeff Gordon, Kurt Busch, and the long shot Matt Kenseth. With Johnson winning 4 straight races before Homestead, he seemed to be the odds-on favorite to win the title. That was only ramped up when he won the pole for Homestead. But quickly after the race started, he fell to the back half of the top 10. Johnson would come home 7th. After winning 10 times in 2007, he would end up finishing 4th in points. As for his teammate Jeff Gordon, he would run up near the front of the pack with Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch in the final 100 laps, but he faded back to 4th at the end of the race. For the first time, Tony Stewart wouldn't finish 3rd in points in the playoffs, as Jeff Gordon would take that spot. So, the championship would come down to Kurt Busch and Matt Kenseth. Kenseth took the lead early in the race and rarely relinquished it, outside of green flag pit stops, that is. Even with the late caution, there was no contest. Kenseth easily ran away from Kurt Busch and won the race, and in turn, won the championship. So with this, the 2007 playoff point standings looked like this. All of the top 10 drivers in the playoffs made the real-life chase, the highest of the non-chasers in real life being Casey Mears, who would finish 11th. Of the actual 12 chasers, only Tony Stewart and Kevin Harvick finished below 10th in points. Of the drivers not in the Final Four, Clint Boyer topped the list. And in 2007, only 7 drivers continued their streaks of 4 straight playoff years since it started in 2004. Those being Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale Jr. being the only winless driver of all top 16 drivers at the end of the year. Clint Bowyer, Martin Truex Jr., and Juan Pablo Montoya all made their first playoff appearances as well in 2007. So with all of this information, I ask you, what do you think of the 2007 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series playoffs? Let me know down in the comments below, leave a like, and subscribe for more great NASCAR content. And until next time, have a good one.